Imagine for a moment that most of your suffering doesn't come from what people do to you. It comes from what you expect them to do. This simple yet unsettling idea has survived for centuries, thanks to one of history's most uncompromising philosophers, Arthur Schopenhauer, a man who understood human nature with a level of clarity that still feels uncomfortable today. In this video, you'll discover the mistake that quietly destroys friendships, relationships, families, and even careers. And if you stay until the end, you'll understand why some people are constantly disappointed by others, while others move through life with remarkable peace. Let's begin. Schopenhauer believed that human beings are driven above all else by self-interest. At first, that sounds harsh, maybe even cynical. But the longer you observe the world around you, the harder it becomes to ignore the truth hidden inside those words. Think about it. How many times have you put someone else's needs ahead of your own, believing they would do the same for you? How many times have you given your time, your energy, your loyalty, or your love, hoping it would be returned with the same sincerity? And how many times were you left feeling hurt, not because someone betrayed you, but because reality failed to match your expectations? That's where the first mistake begins. Expecting other people to think the way you do. We naturally assume that other people share our values, our loyalty, our empathy, our willingness to give, but they don't. Every person sees the world through the lens of their own experiences, their own wounds, their own desires, and their own interests. The moment you truly understand this, you stop treating every disappointment as a personal attack. Instead, you begin to see people for who they really are. Schopenhauer believed that much of human suffering is born from illusion. We don't just meet people, we imagine them. We assign them qualities they've never actually shown. We create an ideal version of them inside our minds. Then one day, their real character reveals itself, and we call it betrayal. But most of the time, they didn't change. Your illusion did. It's a difficult truth to accept, yet it's also one of the most liberating lessons you'll ever learn. Because when you judge people by their actions, instead of their words, you make wiser decisions. Words are effortless. Behavior is the only language that never lies. Schopenhauer also warned us about another invisible prison, the desperate need to be liked by everyone. The more you chase approval, the more control you hand over to other people. You start editing your personality. You hide what you truly believe. You pretend to be someone you're not. Sometimes, you even tolerate disrespect just to avoid disappointing someone else. But ask yourself, what does that really cost? It costs your authenticity, and nothing is more expensive than losing yourself. Here's the truth. You will never control what other people think of you. You can only control how you choose to live. Ironically, the people who earn the deepest respect are rarely the ones trying to please everyone. They stand by their principles. They know when to say no. They protect their boundaries, and they understand that respect will always matter more than popularity. Another mistake many people make is believing everyone deserves unlimited access to their life. The reality is different. Some people enter your life because they need something. Others stay only while it benefits them. And when life changes, they quietly disappear. That doesn't always make them evil. It simply makes them human. Schopenhauer invites us to replace illusion with realism. Love people, respect them, care for them, but never forget, schuldig. They are still human beings, imperfect, contradictory, driven by their own interests, limited by their own nature. This isn't cynicism, it's clarity. And clarity protects you far more than naivety ever will. There's also an important distinction between kindness and weakness. Many people mistake one for the other. Being kind doesn't mean accepting disrespect. Being generous doesn't mean allowing yourself to be taken advantage of. Being patient doesn't mean accepting what should never be tolerated. People who manipulate others have an instinct for those who struggle to say no. They start with small requests. They test your limits, and little by little, they take up more and more space in your life. That's why learning to set boundaries is one of the clearest signs of emotional maturity. You don't have to be aggressive. You don't have to raise your voice. You just have to be clear. Healthy boundaries don't drive good people away. They only drive away those who benefited from the fact that you had none. Schopenhauer also believed that solitude is not something to fear. In many ways, it's a source of strength. A person who is genuinely comfortable being alone is far more difficult to manipulate. Why? Because they no longer cling to unhealthy relationships simply to avoid feeling abandoned. They choose the people they allow into their lives. They value genuine peace over toxic companionship, and that kind of emotional independence becomes one of the greatest forms of freedom. So what's the one mistake you should never make again? Expecting people to live according to your expectations. Human beings are complicated. They change, they disappoint, and sometimes they surprise you in ways you never imagined. The moment you stop expecting people to be who you want them to be, you finally begin to see them for who they truly are. You make wiser decisions, you protect your peace, you suffer less, and most importantly, you discover a kind of freedom that no one can take away from you. Schopenhauer wasn't teaching us to distrust everyone. He was teaching us to understand human nature, because understanding people doesn't mean judging them. It means seeing them clearly, without the comforting illusions that so often blind us. So the next time someone lets you down, pause for a moment and ask yourself one question. Did this person truly betray me, or was I expecting something they never promised to give? That single question has the power to transform every relationship in your life. If this perspective on human psychology, the philosophy of Arthur Schopenhauer, and the nature of relationships gave you something to think about, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, and tell us the idea that stayed with you the most. And if someone you care about needs to hear this message, share this video with them. Because sometimes, one idea is all it takes to change an entire life.